Okay, my name is Michael, and I'm here today to talk to you about the fundings of NASA. Let's just start off with a few statistics. According to the Office of Management and Budget data summary for NASA, when NASA was established, it had a budget of 0.1% of the federal spending. And in the late 1960s, it spiked up to 4% of the federal spending. However, as the economy began to shake, the government drastically slashed funding to cut back on the deficit and boost the economy. These budget cuts are a huge mistake. In fact, they're detrimental, which brings me to my main claim. Increased government spending on NASA's space programs is economically beneficial. My main points will be 1, NASA has already proven its capabilities. 2, increased fundings will reduce costs and boost efficiency. And 3, the beneficial effects will trickle down to the citizens. First off, NASA has already advanced our technology. NASA has repeatedly proven itself to break numerous boundaries. It won the space race, it landed the first man on the moon. 40 years ago, when the budget was 1%, NASA launched the Voyager, and did what was thought impossible and explored the outer planets of Jupiter, Mars, you name it. Recently, NASA has successfully launched the soil moisture mapper, which is capable of predicting floods. And according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, flood damages average $8 billion per year. With this new technology, NASA is able to lessen and even prevent these losses. Despite budget cuts, NASA has managed so much. Increasing funding will drastically increase the rate at which efficient technologies are discovered. Speaking of technology, since 1976, NASA has improved and introduced over 1,750 technologies. Of these numerous technologies is the improvement of solar cells. The anti-reflective coating integrated from space technology into solar cells has allowed it to collect more energy from the sun, which reduced the cost and increased the efficiency. My second point is higher funding will reduce costs and increase efficiency of missions in the long run. Lower budgets have caused missions to be delayed or even canceled. In 2013, a program to create more efficient generators was canceled by the White House. These new generators were 4 times more efficient than existing generators. This meant less energy consumption, which would lead to more money available to allocate for the success of the mission. And in 2014, NASA canceled its $1.1 billion stratospheric observatory, saying contribution to astronomical science will significantly be less than originally envisioned. This reveals that lower funding not only causes money to be inefficiently used, but also slows technological advances. With higher funding, more programs can survive and efficient technologies can be developed and tested. NASA has also been driven to rely on Russia to compensate for its budget. Russia's engines are more cheaper and powerful and reliable. In recent years, however, Russian Prime Minister has threatened to ban all sales of their engines due to geopolitical conflicts. This puts the US at an economically disadvantage. General William Shelton, head of the Air Force Space Command, estimates it will take 5 to 8 years to develop an American alternative to the Russian engines. This setback, on top of the low funding, will cause the US to lose its technological abilities and competitiveness, pushing the space market into foreign countries. Lastly, my third point is effects of increased fundings for space programs will trickle down to the citizens. New technology will create new fields and more jobs. After the 2011 improvement of the solar cells, prices have dropped to $3 per watt, and sales have risen over 300%. According to solar energy industry and industry associations, employment has risen 20% since the 2011 improvement. Higher budget will also lead to even more jobs. When NASA's budget increased to 4% of federal spending, there were 34,000 NASA employees and 375,000 contractors employed. But in 2011, the budget canceled the development of new rockets and spacecrafts, causing 23,000 workers at Kennedy Space Center to lose their jobs. Currently, NASA roughly employs 17,000 employees, about half of what they used to employ. These statistics directly correlate the relationship with higher funding and higher employment. In conclusion, increased funding for NASA will improve the economy because it reduces costs and increases efficiency, benefits the citizens, and is a reliable investment.
I think we get Nathan up here to do the refutation speech. I think you did okay identifying your proposition. You had a very good layout of what the secondary claims were. I thought that helped a bit. And you kind of do give it some historical context so that we know the nature of the argument that's going on. One of the things that I think seems to be suggested is that the money that we're spending now is insufficient. It's not that we're spending nothing, but that it's, because it's a smaller part of the budget, that means that we're not getting as much as we could have. The only example, though, that you had that was pretty particular on that were the engines that you talked about, the size of the engines and our reliance on the Russians in order to be able to do those kinds of things. My understanding is, and I haven't looked at it that closely, is that that's mostly for manned launches, and we don't have the, except for the occasional where we are in fact hitchhiking with the Russians up to the space station. Most of the other kinds of scientific and economic uses of space are done with, a variety of launch vehicles that we have that we haven't had a lot of problems with it. The idea that we're not sending up satellites, that we're not developing any of these kinds of things, I think that's a little bit problematic. The solar cell advance that you talked about in 2011, I think, is an interesting point, but I'm not exactly sure how it is related to the budget issue that you're talking about. I guess there's an argument here that says that we're not going to be doing that kind of thing anymore because the budget is lower. It would be nice to have somebody from NASA or somebody else who's an observer of this political entity saying those kinds of things and making that argument also. Most of your stuff depends on examples. There was a little bit of statistical information, like I said. An authoritative point of view, I think, needed to be supplemented here. All right, again.